Committee on Parole is called back to order. The time is 11 o'clock. Our next case is going to be Mr. Jim Sims. Mr. Sims, would you please introduce yourself and give us your DOC number?
Jim Sims, sir. Good morning, by the way.
Good morning, sir.
349844, sir.
Thank you very much, Mr. Sims. Mr. Sims, let me explain our process to you. First, I'm going to read some information into the record, and then we're going to conduct a parole interview with you. At the appropriate time, after we conduct that interview, you'll have an opportunity to address the board, tell us anything you'd like to tell us, or tell us anything you'd like to know, and then we'll vote. You understand our procedure?
Yes, sir.
This is the matter of Jim Sims, DOC number 349844, date of birth, December the 2nd of 1976. Mr. Sims is classified as a second felony offender. He has a parole eligibility date of February 19th of 2023, an adjusted good time date of June 16th of 2030, and he has a full term date of February 19th of 2033. He is currently serving a 30-year sentence on the charges of armed robbery and first-degree robbery, having been sentenced on November the 3rd of 2003. Mr. Sims, is that information fairly accurate?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Mr. Sims, your case has been assigned to Ms. Pearl Wise. She will begin the questions in our interview process. Would you please answer any questions she might have?
Yes, sir.
Good morning to you. How you doing?
I'm all
How
right.
you doing?
I'm all right.
You all right?
Yes,
You
ma'am.
sure?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. All right, we're gonna go then. Call out for the record how long you been in jail on this charge.
I've been in jail, ma'am, 20 years, going on 20 years on the 13th.
20 years or 30 years sentence. And how old are you today?
46.
Huh?
I can't hear you, ma'am.
How old are you today?
46.
46. Okay, good. Is this the longest you've ever served?
This is the longest I ever served during time. Really like my first jokes. I had did like a 2-3 week sentence in Quincy. It was like 3 weeks, but I haven't just like really been like my first, like I'm a first offender, really, my first time doing upstate time.
Gotcha. When did you find out that you were parole eligible?
I found out this like a couple years ago when I had made a transformation in my life. And when
You found out like in 20, I'm gonna kind of narrow it down. Was that 2020? We in 23 now. So when did you find out? Maybe 2020, 2019? When was it?
I think when they passed the 2045 law, I had got a new rap sheet act. I think Act 1. I can't really remember, but I knew it was a new act. I must have felt under the new act, so they gave me the new rap sheet, and I had to come to a realization that I had to change for myself, for my family, and people around me that who have authority over me.
Okay, but it's only because you got that rap sheet and you saw parole eligibility date of 2/19/23 that all this started making sense to you.
Yeah, ma'am. I know when I first come to prison, I'm gonna be real honest with you. When I first come to prison, I was 26 years old, hanging around the wrong crowd, and I think that everything was cool. And one day, I sit down and say to myself, I said, how can I be a better man for my family, my mother, who really is ill right now, and I had to do everything, not just for her, but I had to do it for me because I'm doing the time. And I admit to everything that I had did from the time I entered the police call to when I confessed to my crime, that I was wrong. I understand that I was wrong in the way I have matured and where I think now, and I thank God for putting in my heart to have a change of heart, and that the way that I think about people, I respect people, I respect my authority, and all I'm asking, I'm not trying to make y'all feel sad for me. I just ask y'all just for one change. That's all I need.
Okay, but thank you. Now, when I look at your records, and what brings you here today, your first arrest, like the 1994 for stealing, You've been stealing since you were about 17 years of age.
That's probably,
I just want to state that for the record, that is the record.
that's my-
You have lost 877 days of good time, like you said, because of what your mindset was when you first got to prison. But I do want to state for the record, you do have 270 days of programming. So when you got that new rap sheet and saw that parole hearing, you did make a change. And I am impressed by that. And we're looking at your write-ups, when was your last write-up? Tell me.
It was like 2000, like a year and a half. It's been a year and a half.
I'm looking at 9/25 or 21, I think was the last write-up. It was September of 22, maybe a year. You're right, you're not, something like that. What do you do every day in a prison?
I work, I'm a dome mauler. I clean up the
Okay.
dome, and I go to school.
Okay.
I've been doing it for
What
like the last,
do you do in school?
I graduated out of literacy, or as you can see.
Graduated what now?
Out of literacy. That's
Oh,
like,
good. Good for
like-
you. Good for you.
that-
Graduated out of
like-
literacy.
that's like special aid, you know.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
I'm currently in GED right now, you know.
Good for you. Good for you. Good for you. And you've had pre-release, right? Phase 1 and 2.
That's mine.
Good. Now, all this stealing you've done in your lifetime, what motivated that? What was the cause of that?
It was just, I was young. It was like, still, it was like, I might take my grandma's car and joyride, you know. I was young, you know, I admit to it, you know, like being around different churn and, you know, like just going to stores. And I can really, as you can see, my criminal history really ain't, you know, it's bad because I could have done better as a human being. Because, you know, I could have done way better what position I'm in right now, you know, fighting for my freedom.
So you wasn't stealing to support your drug habit. You wasn't stealing to buy tennis shoes. That's what I'm trying to get at. What were you stealing for?
Oh, so when I was young, I do it to get smoke marijuana and buy clothes, those different types.
Even the armed robberies and the first degree robbery. What was the motivation for that? Why did you do it?
I did it. I did it. I had just happened to, you know, my family was like my fiance, not the one I'm with right now, but the one
Okay.
married. If I happen to get released, you know, I'm planning on being married. You know, start my.
Oh, good. Congratulations. Good.
You know, I had gave the woman a note. You know, I ain't have no weapon.
Now, wait a minute. I got all that in the police report. What I'm asking is something in your mind said, I'm gonna go in here, I'm gonna rob this place. What were you intending to do with the money, with whatever you got? What was the purpose?
To pay my bills. I had
Okay.
my girl about to get put out, and I ain't have nothing else, nowhere else to go. So
That's what I want to know. That answers my question. Thank you. That answers my question. But it looked like at your supervision record, you was on probation in 1996, and you absconded. You got revoked, and then you got on parole, and you were terminated on SAT. So you know that I just wanted to state that for the record. That is your supervision history. Now we reached out to the law enforcement community to get their opinion, and there is some opposition. Probation parole tried to reach your victims, and they were unable to reach victims. And my last question to you before I talk to the warden, do you have any contact with your mother?
yes, ma'am.
The probation parole couldn't find your mother, but it looked like in the record, you do have contact with her. That's good to hear. Warden, what can you tell us about this young man?
Well, Jim and me go way back. Been here about as long as I've
We're breaking up again. Your sound's breaking up again. I can't hardly hear you. Okay. Thank you.
took the thing on, but it's still not working right. Jim and me known each other for a minute. He was here a couple years before I got here, so we've known each other for a while. You can look at his conduct, and he couldn't stay out of trouble for this year and a half, 6 months, 7 months. He's been out of trouble. I think it's the longest he has been without a write-up, which is a big change for him. And like I say, he getting into literacy and getting his GED was a big push that I've been pushing him for a while on. And he's finally got into that and working towards that GED, because like I tell most of them, if you leave with anything, you should leave with at least that. So, but he's come a little ways in the last year and a half. He's still got some work to do, and he knows that. We talked yesterday about it, and he still feels that he's got a little work to do, and but he's willing to do what he needs to do to get it done.
Thank you, Warden. That's all I have, Chairman.
Mr. Freeman?
Sims, I see you have 3 write-ups for contraband. What was that about?
Smoking non-tobacco dip. I mean, I'm trying to say, dip is not smokable. So, we dry the dip out in the microwave and we smoke, and I happen to get caught with it and trying to smoke dip. So yes, sir, that I admit that that what it was, contraband was about, dip. Smokeless tobacco.
Mr. Sims, is there anything you'd like to tell us before the board votes?
Yes, sir. When I first asked, I might get a little emotional because it's true, I just,
All right.
So I come to prison 2003 for a crime of armed robbery that to the day that I'm sorry that I committed, and I'm just and as the years progresses, I went through a lot of different phases, a lot of ups and downs in my life, and I found God along the way. That was one reason that I'm successful is where I am right now. Parole board, I'm not asking y'all to feel sorry for me or have mercy on me. All I ask y'all is for one more chance at society to be with my family. I got a cousin that got his own trucking company. I got a job lined up. I got different things. If I need to go to a substance abuse program or go to a rehabilitation center, wherever y'all decide that's best for me, I'm willing to accept it. I just want y'all to know that I admit to everything I did while I was in prison to come to prison when I was young. When I was young, I thought as a child, I spoke as a child. As now, as I growed up, I'm mature, and I feel like I got respect for everybody. Ain't no disrespect nowhere in my vocabulary. I respect authority. I respect the people over me. I respect my teachers. I respect everybody. Even though a long time I always was in the cell block, thought it was cool to be in the block, get out the block, go back. But the way I think now, all that was like a revolving door. It wasn't right. I was young. I'm 46 years old. My mom up and on. She's sick. I got to try to take care of her. It's a lot of things that I could do. That's why I asked the board to please have mercy on y'all decision, and wherever y'all decide that's right for me, I'm with it.
Thank you very much, Mr. Sims. We appreciate your comments. Board ready to vote?
Yes, I am. Well said, Mr. Sims. Well said. I do want to, I'm going to say off the top, I believe that you believe what you said. But here's what's concerning for me, and you can take it any way you want to take it. Until you got that rap sheet, you didn't change. And that's concerning for me. And that really is. But for me, now this is just for me, I'm only one vote. My vote today is not now, not yet. Now I really know, but it's not yet. My vote is because I think you need more programs. If you got 210 hours of program, you need to get the maximum. You lost 877 days of good time. I need a little longer period with no write-ups. Little more longer period. It's just me now. It's just me. Because I want when you get out, I want you to stay out. Take more programs, take advantage of whatever, and get up to the max. Your overall disciplinary record has been unfavorable. And I just want to encourage you to reapply as soon as you're eligible with no write-ups. But again, that's my vote.
Thank you, Mr. Johnson. Mr. Freeman?
I concur with Ms. Wise. I need to see a little bit longer period without a write-up. So if you make it another year and you reapply, probably I'll have a different opinion.
Thank you, Mr. Freeman. Mr. Sims, you have 2 votes to deny your parole, but to encourage you to keep going. I think the warden said it, Ms. Wise said it. You're on the right track. You just need a little more work to do. And I think once you get a little more work under your belt, reapply again. And like Mr. Freeman says, I suspect you'll be granted the next time. But for today's purposes, your parole has been denied, but encouraging you to continue on the path and to stay disciplinary. Your long record of discipline clearly hurt you, but you're on the right track. So continue to do it. Good luck to you, sir.
Thank
Board Warden, thank you very much for your help. We appreciate it.
You're welcome. Y'all have a good day.
You too.
Yeah.
Man, he looks all bummed out. That's so depressing. So I guess let's jump into that a little bit. I mean, you know, they want to see him. They want to see him do well, and I think the point is that he could reapply in like a year, maybe get another hearing in 2 years. So he will be getting out. He served 20 years of a 30-year sentence for armed robbery. Of course, a longer sentence than, you know, the biggest cockroaches get, but hey, who's counting? So there is maybe many of you are familiar with the law of Act 122, which enabled people who had life sentences to get a chance at commutation and parole. And we've seen many of those. This one, 2045, basically was enacted for people who didn't have a life sentence but had 30 years or more. So like for example, 30 years. And it's actually quite interesting. I'll drop the link, but no law can be passed easily, right? There's been a lot of different ebbs and flows of the law. At first it was for 30 years, except for anyone who's done armed robbery. If you did armed robbery, you wouldn't fall under this new law. And then they said, no, that keeps too many people out. Let's allow people who had done armed robbery. So what happened is that as soon as this law was passed, he started to behave, but still had gotten write-ups. And I guess because of that, I'm really okay with the decision in the sense that it would be good for him to get that structure, succeed in not having any more write-ups. But at the same time, I've seen them let people out. And like he's already served 20 years, so I don't know. Why don't you put him in a work release program? That would probably be better for him. So there are definitely better options that they could have done. Let's see. Do you want me to read a little bit about the act? So 2045. In 1991, a new parole eligibility was enacted for the fast aging prison population. Someone might argue that this is a money thing. You know, fast aging prison population, it's expensive to keep them. Maybe they want them out. They only did armed robbery. They didn't hurt anyone. Hey, maybe we should let them out now. Maybe less about empathy, more about dollars and cents. But again, that's just reading between the lines. People sentenced at least 30 years who had served 20 years and had reached the age of 45 could apply for parole under the 2045 law. Oh, that's why it's called 2045. So you had to be at least 30 years old. You had to have served at least 20 years, and you had to be reach the age of 45. Otherwise, who comes up with this stuff? also called old timers parole. Almost immediately, lawmakers started tweaking the law, at one point specifically excluding anyone convicted of armed robbery. Then rules were adjusted and required inmates convicted of certain crimes to serve 85% of their sentence regardless of their 2045 status. Courts upheld the rule, but lawmakers made changes that lowered time served to 75%, and now it sits at 65%. Other courts found fault in excluding armed robbers, at least those convicted between 1993 and 1995, leaving some armed robbers sentenced up to 99 years without parole eligibility, because apparently if you armed someone on December, the last day of December in 1992, you should get life. But if you did it on the first day of January 1993, then you don't need life. While others were eligible for parole based on when they committed the crime. The law has changed again in 2014 and then again in 2017 to declare up discrepancies, but those clarifications led to other inconsistencies for those already serving long sentences. Basically, a person with a criminal history convicted of a crime, it says it here. Basically, a person with a criminal history convicted of a crime at 11:58 p.m. on October 31st, 2017 could receive a sentence of life in prison, while similarly situated person committing the crime 3 minutes later would receive a maximum of 20 years. It makes a lot of sense. Our bigger concern was addressing those cases that were completely nonviolent, said Lampert of the District Attorney's Group. Had they been convicted after November 1st, they were going to serve 20 years, and had been convicted prior, they could have been serving a life sentence. This bill addresses the issues of fundamental fairness because of that approach, but it still gives the parole board the ability to vet those persons to do their best to make sure that those who deserve parole get parole, and those who pose a continued danger to society don't. About 150 inmates qualify for a parole hearing under the habitual offender section of the law. The correction department estimates about 2,800 inmates qualify under the tweaks of the old timers parole. The Department of Public Safety Correction Office of Adult Services is identifying all acts whose sentences are impacted by the change enacted in Act 122. There it goes on. Hey, if you're still listening, let me know in the comment section. I don't know how many actually, want to hear me rabble on versus just reading it. And do like and subscribe, please. It helps the algorithm. So once the agency completes the time, the names are submitted in the committee parole. The committee has 90 days to schedule a hearing, and during the time needs to complete a report that looks at criminal history, disciplinary record, prison behavior, did the supplicant participant in community volunteering, attend self-help classes, and this is like straight up like an outline of what the parole board should look at. They also need to give the law enforcement agencies, district attorneys, judges, and victims at least 60 days notice. The parole board can docket no more than 20 cases per day. Why do they limit it at 20 a day? Like, first of all, good luck doing 20 a day. I don't think we've ever seen 20 in a day, but whatever. Many of the incarcerated individuals that will be affected by Act 122 are long sentences for violent crimes. Mr. M. Abbott, Executive Director of Louisiana Board of Pardons and Committee on Parole, wrote in an email. I don't think we've ever met that person. The committee must take into account numerous factors when exercising its discretion release. And that was it. As we see, which I'm sure many of us have already known, it is really not simple. One thing to pass a law, then another thing to get the law to make any sense. It's difficult. Change is difficult. But with that, I'll let you go.